Hello, and welcome to this second part of your personal career success tutorial. This one will deal with your natural behaviors, or how you deliver your thinking and your primary motivators into the world. We remind you once again, this is so important, the pathway to your real success will naturally unfold when what you know how to do routinely intersects with what you love to do. Using your education, your experience, what you know how to do, when it intersects with the fact that you love doing it, that's when real success unfolds. This tutorial presents the second part of this tutorial, and that is an understanding of your natural behaviors. It's referred to as the DISC, D-I-S-C style survey. And it's what you use to deliver and communicate your ideas into the world. The DISC human behavioral pattern is how other people experience you. It's how you appear to them. It also serves as a key component for showing you the most effective way to connect and communicate with other people, both in the workplace and in your personal life, for the rest of this lifetime. We invite you to put some time and effort into this tutorial. It can truly be life-changing for you. This is the second report that you have. It's called the DISCstyle Behavioral Report. Human behaviors have been studied and researched for the past 75 years. The tool that is considered the gold standard for measuring human behavior is found in this DISC-style instrument. Human behaviors are broken down into four primary measures. The first is the D factor, which is dominance. It's a degree of assertion, or how you approach problems. How aggressive are you? How assertive are you as you approach problems? The second factor is the I factor. It stands for influence, interaction, or extroversion. It is a measure of the degree of social comfort that you have and how you approach other people that you encounter on a day-to-day basis. The next factor is the S, the steadiness or patience factor. It is a measure of how you approach the pace or the activity level that you encounter, going from being very patient to being very urgent. And in each of these factors, there's a wide scale from one end to the other where there are dramatically different behaviors. Understanding your particular style will be very beneficial. The final factor is called the C factor, stands for conscientiousness, compliance, deals with details, procedures, crossing the T's, dotting the I's. It's really how you approach structure, rules, and procedures that you encounter. These four factors, dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance or conscientiousness, can be used to measure with great precision how you relate to the other individuals in your world. This was a 31-page report, and it's just filled with extremely powerful information. None of us work in a vacuum. We have to interact and interact effectively with other people. The modern business model requires this interaction. With this report, you're going to have an opportunity to really understand yourself. If you use this information, your ability to work with others more effectively will serve you well for the rest of your life. These are just some of the factors that are presented in this entire report. You're going to learn so much about yourself as you're preparing to move out into the workplace and to find your place in the world. And what we want to help you do is find that place where what? Where using your knowledge intersects with what you love to do. What you learned in the first tutorial about your workplace motivators or drivers, and what you'll learn here about your natural behaviors, if you can align those two factors with the jobs that you're considering, your life is going to be a very happy one. This report begins with a paragraph definition of each of the 4 factors: dominance, influence, steadiness, and the next page is compliance. The DISC, D-I-S-C, like a Frisbee disc, is the acronym that defines the dominance, the influence, the steadiness, and the compliance. These are plotted on a scale of 0 to 100 in each of the 4 factors. Now, this particular individual has very high dominance, has moderately high extroversion, has a moderate amount of patience, and rather low compliance. Every one of you will have a different pattern, depends upon how you're wired internally. There are 4 individual factors: the D, the I, the S, and the C, and then we also present that information to you not only in that bar graph that I just showed you, but also in this wheel. And you'll notice again, the D, the I, the S, and the C are in each of the 4 corners. Where you plot around the wheel defines for us the overall behavioral style that you bring into the workplace. You'll notice that there are descriptors around the periphery of the wheel. This person happens to be very assertive. If he plotted here, he would be assertive and persuasive. If he plotted here, very persuasive, etc. Page 5 of your report provides a set of general characteristics, and you should find them to be very informative and quite accurate about you. We suggest you go through this a statement at a time. Read them carefully. This is an investment in yourself. You're going to find that you have a very high degree of agreement with these statements, and typically there are 2 pages that are provided, and go through them and mark the ones that you agree with the most and keep track of them. We're giving you a foundation to understand yourself. Also, throughout the report, we include these 2 little graphs here. This is the wheel graph where you plot. The dot is your natural style. The star is your adapted style. I'll explain that in a moment. And the same thing is here in the bar graphs. The natural bar graph on the right, the adapted bar graph on the left. All of this information will make more sense to you as you go through the report. Page 7 of your report gives you an overview of your natural strengths. Now, this will be very important for you to be aware of as you're considering opportunities for a career. You're going to want to be clear on what are my strengths, because you will want to align the jobs that you're looking at that will take advantage of these natural strengths. Now, a natural strength is something that you can just do easily. Even knowing people that are very good cricket players, some better than others. They just do it naturally. The goal is to use your natural strengths to your best advantage. The next is the work tendencies that you will bring to the job. Again, becoming aware of these and then looking for how those fit with the opportunities that you're considering will be very, very helpful to you. The goal, of course, is to feed your strengths. Use your strengths in the jobs that you're considering and starve your blockers. A blocker is a performance factor that interferes with your ability to use your strengths. Hence the statement, feed your strengths and starve your blockers. This next page gives you the do's and don'ts of communication. Again, very powerful, very interesting component of this technology. And it shows you how do you prefer, how do you like people to communicate with you? So these would be strategies that people should use when they connect with you. These are strategies that they should not use when they're connecting with you. So if you go through and you mark the three that most resonate with you. Like, I really like it when people connect with me in this fashion, and I really dislike it when people do these things. It forms a foundation for what we're going to talk about in the latter part of this tutorial, which is how you can connect with people based upon their preferences. And if you're able to do that, your communications are going to be much more effective than if you just communicate with them based upon your particular preferred style. So your tactics are going to be different than what you see here, because your report will be tailored just for you. Also, the next page, 9 of your 31-page report, gives you the ideal environment, the ideal workplace for you. How valuable is this? Study these, be clear on these things, so that as you pursue opportunities, you can look to fill as many of these in alignment as possible with the opportunities that you're considering. It'll serve you so well. And the statements that you will find in your report, again, are unique just to you. Now, here's a point of human behavioral clarification. We each, every one of us, have some degree of intensity of each of these 4 factors: dominance, influence, steadiness, and compliance. Typically, one of them is going to be the strongest one for you. Although we're going to look at all of them together and all of them for you, it's important to understand that for most of you, one of them will be your strongest factor. So the next section of your report will speak to that. This particular individual's strongest factor, you recall, was a very high D factor. So for this sample, we'll look at that. This could also be an I factor, an S factor, or a C factor. We'll be referring to this in that way. So when we look at the D factor, and this will be whatever your particular style is, we're going to look at the stressors, the perceptions, and the tactics for working more effectively with other people. So we begin by looking at this. What is your typical behavior when you're in conflict? Understanding yourself. Very, very valuable. This will show you under stress how you appear to other people. The way you appear to yourself may be much different than the way you appear to other people. This will show you when you're in a stressful situation, this is what you need. You can begin to use these tools immediately. When you feel yourself being stressed, you can execute these types of strategies to help you when you're under stress. And these are watch-outs, meaning these are things you have to be careful of, that when you get under stress, for example, this person can become irritable, they can become intrusive, and they can become pushy, always creating problems. And this only happens for this person when they're under stress. So again, very powerful page, page 10 of your report. Now let's look at your natural behavioral style and how it's presented. It could be the D, could be the I, could be the S, could be the C, whatever your particular strength is, will be your highest scoring one. In each one of these, you'll see that it gives you what does each of these styles need, what is the emotion that's tied to each one of those styles, and what fears are tied to each one of these styles. Because we all have needs, we all have emotions, and we all have fears. You'll notice a set of descriptors here, and there's highlight boxes around each one of these. This is the set of descriptors that best describes this individual's overall dominance and how they're going to address those problems and the degree of assertion that they're going to have going forward. This is the amount of the descriptors here that are representative of their extroversion. These are the descriptors that are representative of their patience level, and finally of their compliance level. And notice where these are. This is very high, just above the line, just below the line, and second below the line. Because these colored boxes identify a set of descriptors that are tailored just for you. This is the natural style. In this technology, we can also measure your adapted style. Now, adapted style is how you feel you need to adjust your natural style to function in the environment where you find yourself. Recall that this individual's dominance was here on their natural, but the adapted has gone down here. So they have had to become less assertive. And you recall that, I'll show you here in a second, this is their natural style here. And look at the adapted style goes way up here. So they've had to become less assertive and much more extroverted than is their natural style. So there's something going on in this individual's workplace that's causing him to adapt. The next, we show you the keys, things that will motivate you. That is, the things that you will want. Again, giving you clues to look for these things as you're looking at different opportunities. And then these are factors that you will need. Again, more information to help you make the right selection. The more of these ingredients that are in place for you, the happier you're going to be as you apply your abilities and your skills in the workplace. This is the potential areas for growth. Now, we always include this because everyone wants to know, okay, well, I understand my strengths, but I really want to know where I'm not good. Well, everyone has strengths, but everyone has blockers. Blockers interfere with our ability to use our strengths. And so these are listed here. We want you to be aware of them, but do not obsess about them. You want to focus on your strengths and starve these blockers. But being aware of them will definitely be to your advantage. Now here is the DISCstyle behavioral diamond. And your natural, this is shown on the last page of your report, by the way. Your natural style is shown as a dot, and your adapted style is shown as a star. So you have the opportunity to look and see, where's my natural style, where's my adapted style. You want to place most of your focus on your natural style, because this tends to remain very stable throughout your lifetime, where the adapted style could change. You could see that you could be in a job where you had a real knucklehead for the boss, and you would find yourself maybe having to be way over here somewhere, being very analytical, being very supportive, even though your natural style was over here. So it's very important that you focus on your natural style so that you're clear on it. So you really want to make this technology work for you. Starting on page 15 of this report, it gives you a tremendous background how you can use this information to your best advantage. Number one, you're going to want to understand yourself. Understand your own behavioral pattern. Step two is learn to recognize another person's behavioral pattern. And then three, to adjust your message so that it will resonate with the other person's behavioral style. Let's explore how you adjust your style. So this page begins with the introduction of how to use this tool to improve your connections and teamwork with other people. Understand yourself, understand your boss. How important would that be? Or the key team members or people that you have to work with, and then you can adjust your message so that it will resonate with the other person's style. Now, the default thinking about communication follows the golden rule, which says, well, do unto others. If we use that in communication, it would be communicate with others the way you like to be communicated with. Well, that may work, except remember there are 4 different styles. The better option is called the Platinum Rule. Now, the Platinum Rule says communicate with others the way that they want to be communicated with. This understanding can change your life as you begin to implement this technology. You may say, well, why exactly would I want to change my communication style? Well, here's why. Only 18% of the world's population plots up here, which means that 82% of the world operates from a different communication pattern. You'll notice that we introduced this concept of direct, indirect, guarded, and open. So each one of these quadrants on this wheel has some degree of directness and some degree of openness or guardedness. Direct and guarded, direct but open, open but indirect, and indirect and guarded. Now here's the definitions. If you have a direct style, as this quadrant and this quadrant does, if you plot anywhere in here, you're going to be very results driven. You will be competitive, you will be emphatic, and you will like to contribute. You will like to participate. You will like to lead. On the other hand, if you're on this side of the wheel, indirect, indirect, you see you're going to be much more patient. You're going to be reserved, you're going to be cooperative, and you will want to be invited to participate. So on the right side of this line here, you're going to be direct. On the left side, you'll be indirect. If you plot above this equator, you're going to be guarded. Now, the guarded style is private, non-emotional, want to talk specifics, and they will stay on task and target. If you plot below the line, you're going to be open. Now, you see, you're also going to either be direct or indirect, but either way, you're going to be open, which means you're going to be warm, enthusiastic, you will express your opinions, you're willing to digress from the agenda, and this just sets the tone. So 18% of the world only plots up here. So if they're direct and guarded and they communicate with everyone else that way, you can see that's only going to work with 18% of the other people. 29% of the world plots down here, and they are direct and open. 45% of the world plots down here. This is the largest group of people on the planet that are indirect but open. Indirect and open. And finally, only 8% of the world plots up here. So these poor people, 92% of the world communicates differently than they do. Putting a little time into being able to recognize people so you know where they're likely to plot in relation to where you plot will open the door to communication for you for the rest of your life that will help you out 100,000 times before you're done. So where is your natural style? The last page of your report, you'll go and you'll look, and where is your dot? In which of these four quadrants? This particular person is direct and guarded. You see, direct and guarded in this quadrant. Their natural style. Their adapted style, however, has become direct and open. Their natural style is the one that you want to use. Results-driven, competitive, etc. Private, non-emotional, talk specific, stay on task and target, etc. So here's a quiz for you. How would this person who is direct and guarded adjust or adapt their behaviors, connect with this person down here, who is also direct. You see, they're both direct, but this person is open, this person is guarded. How would he adjust his communication? Well, he would want to decrease his openness. Pardon me. He would want to increase his openness because he is guarded. The person that he's trying to connect with is open. So he wants to increase his openness. Here are the strategies to do that. The other person wants to decrease their openness to connect going the other way. These strategies work for him. It's that simple. And this will cover 90% of the situations. So once again, we have the same person who is direct and guarded. How would they connect with this person who is over here, who is also guarded but is indirect? So they're both guarded, but this person's direct, this person is indirect. So what does this person want to do? He wants to decrease his directness right here. And here are the strategies to do that. This is in your report. This is for you to use the rest of your life. The key is for you to understand, well, where do I plot and where do these other people plot? Well, here are some clues to help you identify where the other people plot. This is a whole set. This is the high D group, the high I group, the high S group, the high C group. And these are some clues. This is how they will, this is the pace that you will see in them. This is what's important to them. This is what they're going to seek. These are their strengths. These are their fears. Under stress, you will see them become this way. These are all clues to help you understand where do they plot so that you will know the most effective way to connect with them. The same 3 steps. Understand yourself, understand your boss, understand your coworkers, and then adjust your message based upon what you're learning here to connect with them in the most effective way. It will improve your lines of communication dramatically. Starting on page 19 of your report, it gives you the specific tactics to use. So if you're dealing with a high D person, this gives you some characteristics that they are going to have. For example, they want to be number 1. So you show them how to win and to present new opportunities to them in a way that will show them how using your idea will help them to win. They like freedom to make personal choices, so you allow them to do their thing, within limits, of course. So this is just so powerful, and this is for all 4 styles, doesn't matter. The D, the I, and the S, and the C. Powerful, powerful information that will serve you well for the rest of your life because there are different tactics required for each style, and you want to start with your boss. So when you get that first job or the next job, you're going to want to, first of all, determine where does my boss plot, where do I plot, and then what are the tactics that I can use to most effectively connect with him. Doing that will make your job much easier. The final few pages gives you more information about how to deal with people depending upon where they plot. Which quadrant do they plot? And that at work, here's how you can help them. If you want to sell them something or persuade them, these are the tactics to use. And in social settings, when you go to lunch with them, tells you how to connect with them in the most effective way. Very, very powerful information. And this is available for all 4 styles. And finally, I want to share this piece with you. We've talked about the 4 factors: the dominance, the influence, the steadiness, and the compliance. Well, you have to understand that each of these factors influences the other ones. They're interactive. They're integrated. And so with this tool, this final part, we can measure how do these three factors influence your extroversion? How do the other three factors influence your patience level? And how do the other three factors influence your conscientious compliance or detail-oriented focus? And that's what we have here. You have 12 individual behaviors, and they're presented in hierarchical form, that this is going to be the most intense behavior that you're going to have, right through the ones that will be the least intense. Notice that there's a precise definition for each one of these behaviors. And there's also an intensity score. Intensity shows you the strength of that behavior and the frequency that it will be displayed. I call your attention to the moderate behavior because there's a component about the moderate behavior that you need to be aware of. And that is that it does not mean that it's a mild behavior. It means if you earn the moderate scoring, that it may or may not be displayed based upon two situational factors. The first one is, do you feel like you have a degree of personal control over the situation? So if you had a moderate score, for example, in being individualistic, whether you decided to exert yourself or not would depend upon the situation and if you felt you had some control over it. If you feel like, yeah, I've got some control over this situation, you may not need to display that behavior. On the other hand, if you feel you do not have any control, then that behavior is very likely to be displayed. The second piece is, how acceptable is that situation to you? If it's not that big a deal, you're, again, likely to not need to display that behavior. However, if it is unacceptable to you, you will very likely display that behavior. The page 30 of your report shows you your four-factor DISC graph. And again, you have the natural and the adapted. And these are on a scale of 0 to 100. And the four factors are here. And the closer they are together between the natural and the adapted, the less stressful you're going to be. So you see this guy's dominance, his natural style is here, but look at his adapted style. It's dropped quite a bit. His extroversion is here. It's gone way up in the natural versus the adapted. And the steadiness or the patience factor hasn't changed a great deal. And the compliance factor has gone up just a little bit more. So this individual is under some stress, feeling that he has to be less assertive and more outgoing and people-oriented than is his natural style. And then we have the behavioral diamond, where we can plot all 4 points together. And this, again, is so important in helping you to define yourself and your team. You want to focus on the natural style. That is the most telling, because that's your baseline stable style. The adapted style can change based upon what's going on in the workplace, but this is your natural style. So you communicate with people based upon their preferred natural style. So again, where do you plot? Where's your boss plot? The key co-workers, and then how can you adjust your message? Depending upon where you plot and where they plot, you're either going to increase or decrease your directness and increase or decrease your openness. Doing that will make your ability to connect with them so much easier. So let's summarize this as we're talking about how to use this technology to help you with your career pathing. You remember the first tutorial dealt with your workplace motivators, the 7 motivators. Very important. Step 1, you're going to want to print out page 5 from your workplace motivator report. This gives your hierarchy of your motivators so that you're clear on what is important to you and what is not important to you. And the second piece is you're going to print out this, the final page of your DISC-style behavioral report that will identify your behavioral pattern, your natural behavioral pattern that you use to deliver what's important to you, that is your workplace drivers, into the world. You'll see that we have a whole set of opportunities here. I mean, this is just a sample of the things that you can do. And then you look at engineering, and there's all kinds of different iterations of engineering that could be for each one of these things, all kinds of different opportunities that lie in front of you. You can apply your particular behavioral pattern and your particular workplace driver hierarchy to any one of these opportunities, because different companies have different cultures and different opportunities have different call for different combinations of workplace drivers and workplace behaviors. So knowing this information about yourself will prove to be so valuable to you, because here's the question that each one of us asks as we get out of school and approach the workplace. Well, where do I fit? You know, no longer do you have to make these choices just blindfolded and guess at them. You can now find the keys to your success. And remember, it's to be able to operate at the exact place where what you know how to do, that is your education and your experience, intersects with what you love to do. What you love to do will become very clear to you as you review your motivators and you review your natural behaviors. Once you're clear on that, then your ability to make the right selection is so much easier. To make this even easier for you, Atul Patil of IKS has prepared a set of benchmarks. There's over a dozen of them, different opportunities throughout the workplace. And you can review them by going to this web page here. And you'll need to copy and paste this into an address bar. Here's our goal for you. The world is just filled with individuals who are not happy in their jobs. They do it for a paycheck. They do it to support their families, but they're not happy in their jobs. Using these tools that we've shared with you, you can approach your career path in a much more informed manner. You're going to be clear on your hierarchy of workplace drivers. That is, you're going to really know what's important to you. And you will have a clear understanding of your behavioral style. And that, of course, is where you plot on the wheel. Using this understanding of yourself, you will have solved easily half of the equation of success, because you can view your search or searches for meaningful employment through the informed lenses of understanding your workplace drivers and behaviors. As you consider opportunities, ask yourself these two questions. 1, will this job support my highest scoring workplace drivers? 2, will the primary duties and responsibilities of this job call for workplace drivers that are not important for me? Are they looking for someone who has a different driver pattern than I do? Because I am not going to be happy doing something that is not important to me, that doesn't reward me. And that's what our workplace drivers tell us. Where do I receive my internal motivation? And secondly or thirdly, you ask yourself the question, well, will my natural behavioral style, be it direct and indirect, open and guarded, work for me or against me in the job that I'm considering. It will be so important. And finally, knowing yourself, self-knowledge, is power squared. It's the key to going forward. Mr. Atul Patil of IKS has created these dozen-plus workplace driver and natural behavioral benchmarks that you can use as a guide to assist you in considering the career choices, career opportunities that you will face. These are only guides. Once you are clear on your primary drivers and motivators and your behavioral style, you'll be able to determine how you will likely fit into any position that you review. Instead of just rolling the dice and hoping that it'll be a fit, you will be able to avoid many, many serious disconnects, and you can find an opportunity that's going to be a great fit. You can view the benchmarks for both the workplace drivers and the behaviors by visiting this web page here, and encourage you to spend some time with this. And these tutorials will remain available for you to revisit time and time again. And we do encourage you to really get clear on this. We're talking about the rest of your life. Make this investment in yourself. Be clear on what's important to you. Be clear on your natural behavioral style. It will serve you well for the rest of your life. And finally, we want to wish you all the best for a very happy and fulfilling life. We hope you found this tutorial valuable. I can only wish that when I was your age, I had this information available. I would have found this profession much sooner than I did. And so we wish you nothing but the best, and thanks for your attention. Bye-bye now.